It's a nice painting.
It is.
Kenny Herman drew it.
Except for the birds.
You know that yellow bird? The yellow bird is a finch bird. And my last name, Vink, is Dutch for finch.
Is it?
So it's like that bird is named after me.
Wow.
That red one looks like it's staring at me.
I think both of them are staring at you.
Well, I think the show started.
Ow.
I'm John, and tonight I want answers about property tax. There's no stopping us now because we're live.
John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers. Give John answers. John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers now.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever that logo's up, people can see me and not you.
Oh, am I covered by my big
You're
head?
entirely covered by your big head.
But technically, my head is covering me, so I'm still on camera.
I don't think it counts. I always try and dance off to the edge so that people can see
So
me.
you're beyond the bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check your calendar. If it says December 8th, 2011, then we're live. If not, you might be watching us on our new podcast. Go to iTunes to find us. My guest tonight is Keith Stattenfield. He's got a show on the station as well.
I do.
Keith Explains. What do you explain?
Lots of things. Whatever I can think of. Because my show is just me. There's no you there.
So it's not as good, I understand.
No, it's terrible. I mean, that's what I've heard. That's what the YouTube people tell me.
Wednesdays at 8:30 on KMVT. And Keith is my guest tonight because he's a news junkie, history buff, philosophy major, and he looks good in a hat.
I do. I look great in a hat.
In this hat.
I should wear a hat all the time. But I don't.
You don't?
No, I can't be bothered. I actually bought a fedora, which apparently I also look really good in.
Does that include is there a big feather in a fedora?
There could be, but in my case there isn't.
Oh, okay.
But there's a band. There's a band.
Is there a press card in it?
No, that would be perfect.
If you've never seen the show before...
And you haven't.
This
I
is
always
like
say that. I was going to stop saying that because I thought it was annoying John. And then John said he actually enjoyed it. And now I'm like, I have to stop saying it because John is enjoying it.
I would pause every time right at that moment for
So
you
I
to
could
say,
and you
"So
haven't."
And then you stopped one day. Anyways, if you've ever seen the show before...
And you haven't.
This show is like a courtroom drama. I'm the prosecutor. You're the expert witness.
That's true.
And you at home and in the audience are the jury. And it's your job to tweet in and vote to acquit or convict the topics. The topics are at trial. So the tweets...
Where do they mail the verdict?
Well, they tweet us to John Wants Answer.
I don't think Twitter is legally binding.
Yeah. There's no S on the end because the S is for suck. And our courtroom drama
except in phones.
does not suck.
No.
Except, well, yeah, it does not apply to phones.
Doesn't apply to phones.
It means speed in phones, I think.
Or S.
If you were the first person to tweet us and say you want a headshot, then you get an autographed headshot of me that you can hang on your refrigerator or on your wall or like on a bulletin board at work or somewhere.
I gotta say, headshot's a little tasteless today. Because we got another
What's
shooting.
Oh,
Yeah, you should call it a
picture of
promotional
my
picture. A promotional picture.
head. Okay.
It's not really a headshot anyway. Because a headshot would just be, from the tops of the shoulders up.
There's
Whereas
a bit
this,
of torso
this is
here.
you pointing. This is a promotional picture.
Okay. You can win this promotional picture
Yeah.
of me that promotes my show.
Yeah.
Be
There are
the
no
first to
promotional
tweet
pictures
us
of me, I've noticed.
and say you want one. Correct. I'm the star. You didn't
You're
see a
the
lot of
star, you're the prosecutor.
You didn't see a lot of Ed McMahon promo shots, is all I'm saying. Go to our website.
Go to Google.
Go to johnwantsanswers.com, and you'll see links to all our shows and our iTunes podcast. And it's
And
always free.
merchandise. You can get merchandise there.
Yes. And go to Facebook and find us there and like us. Like me on Facebook, and it'll make me happier.
Like the show.
Yeah.
They don't have to like you.
Yeah,
For example,
correct.
they could like me. They could say, Keith, you're the best part of that show.
I suspect not everyone likes me, but they do like the show. It's the disaster they tune in for.
Yeah, yeah.
And our best review so far, you could make a new one. And you could be this person I talk about next. Best show ever, says Snaggy from The Joy of Tech.
But he's Canadian, and I don't think they get a lot of good TV up there.
they get all the TV
Well, there's the
that
Queen,
we get.
and then there's that show about the gas station.
Everyone
And
lives.
I guess they used to have kids in the hall, but we had them too, and now they're off the air.
Well, all the Canadians live along the border,
Perilously close to the U.S. border.
and so they get all the TV stations from the United States.
Right, but they'd have to be subtitled. So, I mean, a lot of them aren't.
They just add A. They have a scrolling A after every line.
Did they?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm making that up. We have 2 executive producers this month.
Well, they're co-executive producers, then.
Yes. We have Lisa
Tamaki.
Tamaki?
I think.
Tamaki? Tamaki. There she is. Oh no, look out, Lisa, there's a big bear behind you.
Or a painting of a bear. There's a painting of a bear behind you.
Actually, it's not a painting. I think it's a sculpture. Some kind of,
There's a sculpture of a bear behind you.
Bear. And also, we have tonight Brian Westfall, who's an executive producer. We got a picture of him too. Look out, Brian, there's a hand on you.
And a wall. There's a brick wall, which could tumble over if there's an earthquake, and you were still in front of it.
Okay. I got feedback that we need to streamline our show. So we're already ready for our first topic.
We've already ruined it.
Property tax.
As where does the music come from, by the way?
You can't see it because the lights are in the way, but there's speakers in the ceiling.
Maybe there's a piano
that comes
there.
down. We originally had a piano here.
We did, yeah.
And a guy played that on the piano.
Yeah.
And we recorded it, and now we just replay
There was no
it.
piano in here, and so I figured it had to be up in the rafters.
But at the time, he played the piano through our sound system. So when he was here live doing it, it still came out of those speakers.
Okay.
I believe we're digressing, though.
We are. I'm trying to avoid the topic.
Property tax. So I want to talk about property tax today.
Is it because you had to pay it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people want to talk about it.
So they were due November 1st, but they're not late until December 10th.
That's correct.
So I wait as long as I can
Like
before I mail
December
that
6th?
check. Yeah, something
Yeah,
like
mine,
that.
I always pay mine December 6th.
I think I paid mine December
Unless that's a Sunday
3rd.
or a Saturday, in which case I pay them December 5th.
Okay. So still
the
some leeway
4th.
in case it gets lost in the mail or something.
Yeah, I want to give it a couple days for the post office to get it there. Although technically if it's post-stamped, it counts.
Yes. But what if you had not enough postage on it and it came back to you?
But then you'd be late.
Yeah.
Then you have to pay a 10% penalty.
10%, that's a big pile of money.
That's why you don't want it to be late.
Okay, so hope you've paid your tax on time. This is going to be a more California-centric topic tonight, so our international viewers can still stay for the comedy. The
Terribly
comedy
sorry.
gold.
Eh?
So first, I want to talk about how much money we pay in property tax.
Okay, well, you pay more than I do.
So it's only people who own real estate pay the property tax.
Not really.
Not
Only
really?
people that own real estate pay the real estate portions of property tax. But
Do you have to pay property tax on your boats and your cars?
you do.
You do?
Your boat's worth more than $400. You're supposed to pay property tax on it.
I don't have any boats. How about cars?
Cars, yes.
I've never heard of this. I've never gotten a property tax
It's part
bill.
of your DMV thing.
Oh. I'm talking about this Santa Clara County
Well, to the county
secured
assessor
property tax bill.
for the secured for properties on the secured enrollment. Yes,
Okay.
but that's just definitional because that's only composed of real estate.
So how much money in tax do I need to pay?
I don't know. What does it say?
On my house.
What does it say?
Well, I'm not saying in my actual
Let's
case.
just say it's
How it's-
9 figures.
How is it
You must
calculated?
have a really nice house.
Yeah. How is the property tax calculated?
So in California, post 1978, property tax is calculated by figuring out what the value of the house is, the last time it was sold or transferred from one person to another person, with certain exceptions, and thereafter applying at most a 2% increase in the value for each year since then.
Okay. This is known as
And
Proposition
years
13?
correspond to the state's fiscal year, so they go from July to June.
Okay, so they assess the value of my house when I first buy it.
Well, yes.
And
Although
then,
in general, they just rely on the purchase price you paid for the house.
right.
If that seems wildly out of line, they might decide they're going to assess it. But otherwise, they just assume that that's the market price.
And so there's a percentage of that value.
1%.
1% of that is the California state tax. So if I bought a house for $100,000,
Yeah, good luck.
good luck, yeah. Then my property tax would be $1,000 the
Yes,
first year.
1% of $100,000 first year.
And then the next year, there's a 2%
Maximum
increase
of a 2% increase.
on the value of my house. So my house is said to be valued at $102,000 the next year.
Well, your house is valued at what it's valued at a year later.
But for
But
property
for the
tax,
purpose of property tax, the largest assessed value they could impose on you would be 2% higher than it had been the year before.
that's the largest, and that's probably pretty much, they use the largest every year. pretty much.
Generally, well, not every year. I mean, if, in the last couple of years when property values have been pretty flat, they haven't increased a lot of houses
Okay.
by 2%. They haven't increased them by anything. And in some cases, they've lowered them because it was easier for them to lower them than to deal with
reassessing?
with thousands of people putting in appeals of the amount that's saying, well, my house isn't worth what you claim it's assessed for.
Right.
It was easier for them administratively to just say, well, we're going to say everyone who bought a house in the last 4 years, we're going to say their house is worth 10% less than it was when they bought it. And so we're going to lower the assessed value temporarily to that instead of having to respond with hearings to, maybe a third of the people would protest, but
Right.
that's still more than they can handle administratively.
Okay, so we have a property tax assessed value. So I'm looking at my tax bill here. I have a 1% maximum levy that you're talking about. And I have many other little percentages on here. There's like bonds for a hospital.
Yes.
And there's retirement levy. Whose retirement am I paying for?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's college bonds. So
Community colleges? Yeah. Unified
how do
School
these get
District
added
bonds?
to my tax bill? Was there a proposition?
In general, for something to get added to your tax bill, it has to be voted on by the people.
Okay.
And depending on when that happens, it either had to get a majority, or a 2/3 majority, or a 60% majority. If there had been things on your property tax bill that were approved prior to 1978 and they were still there, I think that those would just be there.
A lot of these look like they're from 2008.
But I suspect most of them are recent because the government tends not to issue, bonds that are more than 25 or 30 years out.
Right.
And 1978 is now 33 years ago.
So I have a pile of rates here. I have
Correct.
2 columns. This is a percentage of tax I got to pay. So 1%, and then like little small percentages, like 0.004%.
0.00034.
And then I have this other section here, special assessment.
Special assessment agencies.
These are called parcel taxes.
Most of those are partial taxes. I mean, some of them could be other agencies that are allowed to assess. And I'm not sure if those are all strictly parcel taxes.
So these are not
But those
percentage
are all
rates. These are flat
dollar
monetary dollar fees. So my biggest one here is sewer, $500.
$500. What are you doing in your house?
I'm doing
to
the
the
same thing
sewer.
everyone else is doing.
Are
So-
you sure?
Parcel tax, each parcel, like each piece of land, is taxed the same amount.
Yes.
So my house, I pay $500 for
Yes,
sewers
yes.
in my little house. And then this big, huge 10-story building down the street
$500.
also pays $500.
$500. That's correct.
They're probably sewaging a lot more than I
Sewaging
am.
a lot more than you are.
Yes. We have, what's a CUHSD parcel tax? Do you know what that means? The first line there. $85.
I think high school district is the HSD part.
Oh, private schools.
I don't know what the CU is.
I got
California
mosquitoes.
Unified High School District.
I got
Mosquito
mosquito
assessments. That's I
for
think
the West Nile
countywide. That's
virus.
countywide.
It's the
West
anti-West
Nile
Nile
virus.
Yeah. Libraries, vector control. That's like mice.
And mosquitoes, actually.
Will they come to my house and catch my mice for me?
If
I call
they
it
have
vector control.
West Nile,
If my mice have West Nile?
well, it's unusual.
Okay.
Or fangs, or if they fly. If you called them up and said, I have flying mice, they might send a guy by.
I heard flying squirrels.
Mice with
Flying
fangs.
squirrels don't really, do they fly? Or
They
just
glide. They're
Yes,
gliding
gliders,
squirrels.
Okay.